And even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks.
I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with.
Imagine rolling just those things every single time. It's always going to vary. The possibility of that happening is, again, like a 1 in 10 chance, but it's like, it shows that there's
always something else cool right around the corner that we can come up with, because there's no end to the prompts. There's no end to what we can roll up.
We're going to be officially rolling for superpowers. This is usually the make or break.
Roll for hero.
We're back in action. Alrighty then. From how it looks like, everything is functional, hunky-dory. Alrighty then. Hey, yo, and hello, everyone, and welcome to Roll for Hero, a segment of the channel in which we let the dice dictate what on God's green earth we will be drawing for today. It is me, your ever weird, never loving Uncle E. And, of course, with me today is, of course, our big, bearded, bald-headed, beautiful co-star. You know him, you love him, claim to be the world's sexiest man of all time, Mr. Fish.
What is up, everybody? Glad to be here. Happy to be here. Excited about the Roll for Hero Handbook Kickstarter that is launching on August 3rd. So if you haven't gone to gomrfish.com yet and signed up for the pre-launch page, you need to get over there and do that and get a copy of it. I'm already seeing lots of things that we need to add on, some charts that we need to expand, some things that we need to add. So it's going to be different than the digital version that you've been able to check out so far as we've been play testing it. So do that. And I'm getting really excited about the mini comic that we're going to do together. We're looking at doing like 3 different live streams during the week that we're going to send out links to all of the backers. So if you back for like $5 on the digital tier, you're going to get the links. You can come hang out. We're going to create new characters. We're going to create new stories and bad guys, and you're going to get to have a say in what happens. And, everybody's been asking about, like, well, what about Jupiter Jack and Meteor Mandy? Or, like, what about Space Ape? And I'm thinking, I think we ought to do mini comics of those guys as stretch goals. So, like, if we hit the stretch goal, then we do Jupiter Jack. If we hit the next one, then we do Space Ape. And, give us a chance to get all those other things in there as well. I think that would be a lot of fun.
This would be super exciting because, first and foremost, I actually always wanted to, since this has become a proper show, I am super excited. Well, hold on. You know what? Before I yip and yap and continue on any further, we have a guest on our show today.
We do have a guest today.
So, it'd be rude that we're just going to be yipping and yapping. He's just sitting there all awkwardly. We can't be doing that. Listen, we're the 2 weird uncles, but we can't be that weird. My friend, introduce yourself. What do you make? What do you do? Just give us the whole spiel. Just go for it, man.
My name is Grant Lankard. I have a couple comic books out right now. My current comic book is called Beowulf, Grendel's Curse. We're on issue number 2 right now. And in this mini-series, Beowulf is finally going up against his mortal enemy, Grendel. I think I sent you the reward, sorry, instead of the story. But yeah, in this one, he goes up against Grendel. In the last issue, he went up against Grendel's mother. In this issue, he's going up against Grendel. It cuts back and forth from modern times and Middle Ages. His sidekick is a cat with magic powers who's based on my real life cat. So yeah, check it out. It's a lot of fun. I have other comic book series too. But please check out this Kickstarter. You can see my other comic books on there as well.
And I can 100% testify, like, we got a chance to read this new issue, and it is good. I mean, it really is good. I did enjoy it. And I'm not just saying that because the man's on the show. I really did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. I mean, it took turns I wasn't expecting it to take. It got emotional and stuff in ways I wasn't expecting it to. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So I gotta get everything now and catch up and see what all I missed, because this is cool.
Yeah, thankfully we had the opportunity to really check it out, and it is very, very interesting, especially because obviously this is a take on the classic tale of Beowulf. So I really, obviously, for those that who don't know, make stuff in the public domain. So the fact that you're taking something like this and giving it your own edge to it is amazing, and it's really awesome seeing how you're able to take your concept and make it a fully realized story. So I'm really excited to see where this really goes. So
yeah, somebody
really
somebody mentioned, I mean, from a marketing standpoint, it's pretty cool. Everybody knows who or what Beowulf is, but it's not as like overdone as say like Robin Hood or King Arthur or Snow White or any of those. So yeah, I wish that I could say I planned it like that, but I'm not that smart. But yeah, it's like when I'm at these conventions, it's very rare that somebody asks me what my comic book is about, and I say, have you ever heard of Beowulf? It's very rare that they say no. But like I said, there's a million movies and TV shows about like Robin Hood. There's a million movies and TV shows about like King Arthur or Hercules.
Oh yeah.
But there isn't that much stuff about Beowulf out there yet.
There is a film or two, but I think it's because it's like we've given it such the middle school education treatment that we never really got to allow it to be as exciting or as thrilling in comparison to King Arthur, Robin Hood, the Disney princesses, which are all just fairy tales to an extent. You know what I mean? So
see,
again,
I have a very different relationship with Grendel personally, and like to me, he's one of the most drawn characters of all time. But I survived off the money I made in high school drawing pictures of Grendel for other people to pass that literature class. Because, one of the things in the class was you had to like either make a project or you had to do a painting or a drawing or you had to do a little skit or you had to make something creative around one of these characters. And I didn't even realize what I was getting paid to do most of the time. People would be, cryptic about it and like, I need you to draw me a demon that was born in fire and like whatever the description was from the book, and not just say, hey, I need you to draw Grendel for Miss Keith's, literature class. And so I drew this thing probably 100 times through my high school career, and nothing was more satisfying to me because I was a real jerk than the day I was in literature class and we come in and she's just got the room plastered with all these amazing drawings of Grendel that her students have done over the years. And she's just so proud of them. And all these little redneck goat ropers, got so creative and really dug down deep and found their true artist and made all this original artwork. And like, other than maybe 5 of them, I drew everything on the walls. And getting to announce that in the middle of class because I was, a goth little jerk that liked, kicking the establishment, I took great pleasure in that. Now, I apologize now because Miss Keith was a really sweet lady and she saved my being able to graduate. And after I threatened her in class, she went out of her way to help me pass English, and I really appreciate her. She's a wonderful saint of a woman. But
can I tell you that's something that I think about all the time is like what an asshole I was to some of these like how much I hated some of these teachers who were just these poor hapless like English majors
who just decided to dedicate their life to making kids' lives better.
But I was like, they're part of the establishment. They're the enemy.
Yeah.
So
100%. You are the man, and I'm taking you down. And like, she's just trying to make a living, and like, especially at my age, all of my teachers only had a choice really when they were graduating school. You could be a nurse or you could be a teacher or you could get married, and that was pretty much the only job, or a secretary. So if you didn't like typing and you didn't like blood, you became a teacher. And so we did have some ladies that were really bitter and didn't like being there, didn't like that being their only option. They didn't like kids, but they didn't like blood more. But there's so many women that worked so hard and tried so hard to be good teachers. And high school fish just crapped.
Now, I think before we get lost in conversation, let's also address the nieces and nephews here on the comments.
Oh, yeah.
You know, first of all, it's Jordan's birthday, so happy birthday
What's
to
up,
you,
Jordan?
Jordan.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
up,
Glad that
baby,
we were able
baby?
to partake in celebrating this momentous occasion of breathing oxygen and blowing out that candle. Anyways, horrible jokes aside, though, it is going to be fantastic. Today's stream is going to obviously be more on the lax, more on the chill side. But we are continuing the notion of basically rolling up a bunch of fun characters from the Roll for Hero Handbook. Again, go find the Kickstarter there. Also, be sure to check out Grant's Kickstarter for his book, Beowulf. It'll be a fantastic thing. Again, support every indie artist to the best of your support every indie artist to the best of your abilities. I don't know why I went Irish, but here I am. And today we're just gonna have
Because you're a weird one, that's why. That's why we love you. That's why you're the weird Uncle Lee.
Exactly, and I hold that title to a high regard. It's a title that is not easily accepted, being told that you're Unk. But you know what? Here we are today. Anyways, proceeding on to the books.
It was thrust upon me.
Genuinely, by every metaphorical, physical. Oh my God, being an uncle is a weird one. Being an uncle is a really weird time, but a fun time. All the responsibility, or all the fun, not a lot of the responsibility. Anyways, so we're going to kickstart things off. If any of you are going to be tagging along and creating a fun character along with us, make sure to grab some dice, grab a pencil, and let's dive straight into this whole creative process. So let us roll for a hero. So starting off, we're going to be doing alignment. So instead of saying like good or evil, because again, sometimes you can have good heroes. You can also have, you know, evil heroes. Same thing. You can have a good villain or an evil villain. How that makes sense, that depends on the story that you have conjuring up for said characters. So we're going to be rolling up 1d6. Grant, will you be rolling, or would you like Fish and I to roll for you, or?
I don't have any dice currently on me, so if you guys want to do it for me, I'm all right with that.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I
no
get to
problem.
have more excuses to use my totally customized Lego dice tower.
Nice.
I really gotta, you know, I have a 3D printer and I can print out an entire like Castle Grayskull, you know, dice tower, because those exist now.
As you should.
As I most likely should. I tried to about the wife about it. I'm like, I need this, and she's like, no. I'm like, fair enough.
Hi Wife has a 3D printer.
That is true. Hi Wife has a 3D printer. I just got her the Lego D&D set. So, I mean. All right, I have, let me pull out my handy dandy Roll for Hero Handbook. Let me see. Grant, which one should we be rolling for? Who do you want to roll for you? Me, Fish, me?
You got
Yeah,
the dice tower. You can roll for him.
Whoever wants to roll for me,
Alrighty then.
I trust you both.
Okay, so I got 5 for, I'm going to just do for myself, which is good. Why I'm combining.
I got slightly evil.
Ooh, slightly evil. How
And you can
dastard.
get this book on Kickstarter now?
Yeah, well, it's in pre-launch right now. It's going to be launching August 3rd. And it is for the handbook and the mini comic that we're going to make.
Yeah, so we're going to.
The mini comic book is going to be characters that you've created in this way?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be characters that we create with the backers of the campaign. Like in live streams like this, just for the backers. And we're going to roll up new characters and create a new story with it.
And also having them be part of the process. So then that way, you know, because again, it's not every day you get the opportunity to dictate what happens in a comic book, you know, unless you're either really close.
What did you get with Grant?
All right, let me get what Grant is getting. You got 6. You got truly heroic. I got 5, which is good. You got a truly heroic type of character there, Grant.
Okay.
All righty. Dragon Gaming's got a 3D dice tower with a serpent coiled around it.
Be the snake that dice to roll. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, no, I gotta.
All right, I'll roll Grant's this time. Grant, your motivation is you are a profit seeker. You're in it for the money. No money, you're not interested.
Profit seeker. Okay. But I'm a truly good profit seeker.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a good guy. Like Booster Gold is a good guy, but like he's in it. He wants to get rich. He wants to make money. He wants to be
Makes
famous.
sense. Okay. I do like Booster
My
Gold.
God.
Perfect example. And then also in the handbook, it does describe how, like, say for instance, if you rolled an evil glory seeker, like what does that look like? Or if you rolled a hideously evil kind of character with the sense of justice, again, the handbook does kind of relatively explain how concepts like those can work. Again, the whole point of the handbook is to essentially just give you a bunch of colors to paint with, and then it's up to you to figure out which colors you want to implement, how you're going to mix them together, how you're going to keep them separate, that kind of whole thing. So the whole point of the handbook is just to give you guidelines, tons of different, points to be like.
And it's all a jumping off point. None of it's like hard and fast
Exactly.
rules that you've got to like stick to super hard. It's to give you a creative jumping off point, get your imagination flowing. Now we're on to our origin table, which is basically like how we got our powers. And I just rolled it with my tablet.
All right, which is 4d6. So I rolled 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, or is it 11, 12, 13, 14 for me at least. And
okay, Grant, you were mistakenly given a device that granted you the powers of, and we're going to roll for that in a minute. But
alien.
Somebody gave you a device you weren't supposed to have that gave you your powers.
Mistakenly given a device. Okay. So kind of like Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern.
Yeah.
All right. Mine, a retired hero, chose me to take on his powers.
No, that's kind of like Kyle Rayner too, actually.
I think of yours sort of like Greatest American Hero, just happens to be in the spot at the time and gets the suit from the aliens, or somebody that, stumbles upon a magic amulet or something that gives them their powers. And
all right, I will roll for Grant's power set. Grant, you have apprehended.
Jaime Reyes accidentally ends up with the Blue Beetle, instead of like,
more
it being
worthy
aimed directly at.
All right, Grant, you have.
All right.
You have 9. You have 1 major power and 2 minor. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I say that right? Yeah, 1 major and 2 minor powers.
Okay.
And then I have to roll for myself.
I got 3 minor powers.
It's going to be number 5, and I have 1 skill and 2 major powers.
All right. I don't have any skills, but you do. What skills are you going to roll there? Let's see. I'm interested. Grant didn't have any skills, did he?
No. He only had 1 major and 2 minor powers. So let me do skills really quick over here, which is going to be 3d6. And the best part about the whole, again, to sound very marketable, but for the roll for Hero Handbook, this is as easy as we're trying to make it. I figured that not everyone has like a crazy set of Dungeons and Dragons dice, so hence why every single handbook is very much D6 coded, or the typical board game set that you can usually utilize. Very easy to apprehend, really easy to roll, do some quick math. So, I mean, hey, you're learning a bit of math. You're learning how to write up a character. This could be a very educational set of circumstances. Who knew that 2 weird uncles can make an educational book? I'm yapping too much. Let's get on to the skills here. I'm yapping a bit too much for my own good. All right. And with the 3 dice, roll 12, 13, 14, 17. Wait, right? 12, 17? Yes, because I know how to do math. My 1 skill that I have is a scientist. This actually makes a lot of sense as to why I would be an adventure seeker.
All right.
Basically,
and then major powers.
You stay on the cutting edge of modern science and can quickly decipher and understand complex concepts and devices. Meaning, I'm a nerd. And then we have, what's it called? Now we have major powers, and then we have minor powers. So we're actually, Grant, Fish, roll for Grant's 1 major power, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. And that was Oh, I just had it. In my
6d6.
head. 22. He can alter body shapeshift.
Ooh.
So he's got shapeshifter as a major power. Was it just one major and 2 minor?
Yeah, one. Let me double check my handbook here. Yeah, it was 1 major and 2 minor powers.
All right.
Then let me roll up the set that I need. This is the fun part. You get to just hear all this. All right. Kind of going at these 2 at a time. There we go. So for my, what was it? Because I know I got a skill and I got 2 major powers. So we got 11. Wait, hold on, we got 12.
Okay. On top of being a shapeshifter, Grant, you've got resistance to extreme heat. And let me roll for the other one.
22, right? 12, 10,
16.
I also have,
And you've got a sonic scream. Your slightest shout could deafen adversaries and bring down walls.
Comic screen.
A sonic.
Sonic.
So your heat resistant shapeshifter with a sonic scream. That's cool. That's cool.
I also happen to have the alter body shape shifting ability as well.
Uh-oh. I'm the only one that's out here.
Well, hold on. I have yet to roll my other major power, so we'll see what happens. Maybe there might be a bit of a change up. All right, we got 2. We got 6, 12.
Ooh, let's see.
And I got 23, which is an... Wait, hold on. Oh, I lied. Hold on. 22, which was the transform limbs. So I basically rolled 22 and 23. Which is essentially alter body in terms of transforming limbs into simple weapons like claws, blades, hammer, etc. And then I got 23, which is to do shape shifting. So I have both of those.
That's cool. I mean, those are kind of related powers.
Which again makes sense to some.
I really love it when they're like so wildly not related and then trying to figure out how to make that work together.
Yeah, like the fact that I had a mutant. What's it called? What was the animal in here? Because you have it in here. It was a horned lizard. So I had a horned lizard who had the powers to essentially control water as body armor. That made absolutely no sense, but we tried making it work. See, like again, the whole point of the handbook is that you can either try to make sense of it, or you can just kind of be like, if this doesn't work, I'll probably take this out, or I can put this in. Again, the whole point is just to really activate the imagination, trying to see how you can make this work, because then that can end up creating something else entirely different. Like the way that I would probably describe the Roll for Hero Handbook is kind of like how kids would have been playing with their toys back in the day, where like you may have had a Power Ranger and then you had an anime character fighting each other, but then now you're coming up with crazier rules and concepts to how those two managed to be in the same world, kind of a deal. You know, you got your G.I. Joes and He-Mans teaming up, having to fight off, you know, the Shredder and evil Michelangelo or something like that.
I always thought it was cool when I had action figures where I didn't know the story behind them, so I had to come up with my own story. Like I remember in the Super Friends toy line, they had a Mr. Miracle, but Mr. Miracle was never on the TV show. But he has like the coolest costume, obviously, because it's Mr. Miracle. So I just like came up with like my own powers and my own.
Like you got to project your imagination onto the toy, being like, "This is my superhero now, and no one else."
That's why I loved like Crystar, the Crystal Warrior, so much, because like I got a lot of those action figures. There was no cartoon. I never saw the Marvel comic or anything, so I just got to make up what I thought these clear crystal dudes could do, and that was so much fun to me, getting to just play wild with it. Now the modifier table, the monkey wrench that I love so much that sometimes throws.
I think someone said that we should make the modifiers called the monkey table and actually make it look like a monkey is throwing a wrench, just for the pure comedic sake of it.
All right. Grant got a 5. Still learning. Your powers are not well controlled, and the more you use them, the more likely you are to lose control.
Which could, I mean,
So-
think of it this way. Imagine if your character is a sponsored superhero, and hence why they're like a profit seeker. Maybe they're actually working behind a company that they truly believe in, but you're not functioning with your powers correctly. Now you're kind of like stuck there where the company's telling you, hey, you got to learn how to use your powers correctly. If not, we ain't going to pay you. And you're like, crap, I got to pay the bills. Like, again, that kind of stuff really does like throw it throws a newer motivation behind some of the characters. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Who knows? All right.
And I love the idea of like a young hero that's trying to figure things out and really, wants to get rich and get famous and really make it, and is trying to figure it out, but probably isn't quite as ready as he thinks he is, and is in over his head. I love that stuff.
I got see, I got 9. Time's up. You have a finite amount of power, like grains of sand in an hourglass. The more you use your powers, the quicker the sand runs out. What will you do when they are gone? See, that is always the most difficult aspect of it, because it's like such cool power, such cool concepts, and now I have this thrown into my systems. Great.
Mm-hmm. There are some tough ones like poison, where your powers are slowly killing you, or you're on the run from the people that gave you your powers. I got time limit, which is pretty close to Esteban's, where once I activate my superpowers, I'm on a strict time limit before they disappear again. So I get to pick if that's days or minutes or hours or whatever, or how long I can hold my breath. But my powers are on a time limit. And let's see. Altogether, I got a slightly evil character with a haunted past, who got their powers from a retired hero, which I'm thinking like sidekick that got given the powers by the hero and then broke bad after that and became a villain.
Or like maybe they
Probably
had
after
like
the
the
hero
one
died.
bad day and they just snapped because they're just like, you know what? I'm really trying to play nice here, and you guys are really not making this easy for me. Screw you. I'm going to be evil now.
And I got extreme heat resistance as well. I got power mimic, which is cool, and invisibility. But I'm on a time limit. So as soon as I activate those powers, we're on a strict limit of heroing, baby, or villaining, actually.
Well,
now,
then again, your character
which-
is what, like evil? They maybe, if anything, and again, this is why I should say it should be more of an alignment table rather than like, whether you're good or evil kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because there are heroes that probably do good things, but not in the most heroic looking stance. Like you could be a hideously evil superhero
like the Punisher.
in like
Or-
brutalizing the enemies, but you did save the day at the cost of like, a few lives here and there. Or you could be a really good villain, again, think like Lex Luthor. The guy is a businessman, hires many people, probably gives them pension plans and everything. Downside is that he's trying to kill the guy who saves the planet on a continual basis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He creates a lot of jobs. Like you could look at it in a positive light.
So it's like, yeah, Lex Luthor is a good character per se because he provides he provides jobs. He provides,
depending on which side of that line you're on, he's probably a great guy.
I mean, heck, he was president. So, he clearly is truly evil. He's in politics.
Okay. So now I got to think for my character. I did a girl last time, so I guess I can do a guy this time. And you know what? I think I'm going to do an old guy. I think I'm going to do a dude that has been at this for a while. But I do like the idea of like being a former sidekick and
he's been in the game for too long.
Got tapped by the hero to be the next version, but because the hero died and whatnot, and now he's gone to the dark side and he's being a bad dude.
Didn't you have a character in the World of Green Zone, Capital Punishment, was it? So like, isn't he like essentially like this world's rendition of Captain America, just brutal and kind of pissed off with the world kind of a dude?
Yeah, he's sort of like a cross between Captain America and the Punisher.
I'm gonna say,
pretty
like,
much,
and
essentially.
I think that's a really unique concept if you go that route. Like maybe this was a former sidekick of, say, someone during like the 1980s or the 1990s during those eras of being superheroes, and he was like that young sidekick, and he was given that time. Like maybe he was a young like sidekick during the 80s, and then when the 90s hit, the hero died, gave him his powers, and then now he's out and about doing whatever. And the 90s was like his peak edgy era kind of a deal. And now it's like the 2000s and he's older, still on a bit of that edge. But again, he's trying to do good, maybe, just does it in a very different way, like it's like
Everything was super edgy and buckles and pouches and over the top and angsty, and he took it too far.
exactly.
He went way too emo with it, and
Oof. You know what?
Came out back.
I'm gonna do a little something here. So it turns out my job at the gas station, we ended up selling Pokemon cards for whatever reason, and I was like, I'll get it for kicks and giggles. Who knows? I might do something with these video related. Hey, how you doing there, Summer Bandit? How we doing? Glad to see that you guys are here.
Hey, Summer.
Alrighty. Really just trying to see what I can do here. There's some really unique Pokemon concepts. There's even a trainer. You know what? This one caught my attention, and I wanted to find a way to use this idea. We're going to use the character Slugma over here from this Pokemon card, and I'm going to just find out how to implement the concept. It's literally like a reddish slug-looking kind of creature, and I think that can work. Him being like a shapeshifter, being able to create that kind of thing. The time's up part really is throwing me off. I'm probably not going to utilize that modifier. Again, because it's optional. And, every time we've done optional modifiers, I've always stuck to them. So this is like, I think the first time on the show where I'm just not.
I think it is the first time you're breaking away from it and not actually.
Because it's like, it's a cool concept.
But that's fine.
But then again, that's kind of the point.
Does it feel like cheating?
Oh, sorry, what was the last part?
Do
A little bit. Does it feel like cheating to not use it?
It shouldn't.
Is that why you use it?
A little bit. It doesn't.
To my obsessive compulsive brain, it does. But I probably would have had more fun with a couple of characters if I had ignored it, which is why I made it optional. But I don't ever treat it as optional myself. But
Again,
I love challenging myself, and sometimes it really makes me come up with golden ideas, like find diamonds in the rough when I was just digging in the dirt. But occasionally I just end up with dirt, and I just end up making mud pies out of it.
yeah. And also, again, the whole point of the handbook is that, again, these are colors. I mean, it's the reason why I use using the paint color type of thing is because Fish literally wrote that in the handbook here. If I can find it. All right, there we go. Yeah, and page 19 of the handbook. As of right now, this is still the prototype, so we're probably going to have many different renditions of how this is supposed to look. But the way that it says it here on 19, it goes, it's like rule 10, like have fun. This is a game. It's all about inspiring imagination and getting creative. Don't worry about how these random ideas work together. Don't think of them as prompts, as complex building blocks that'll only fit together in a particular way. Think of them as different colors of paint. You get to use them however you want and paint whatever kind of picture you want out of it. So again, maybe say, for instance, I was given, a really crappy color like brown. I don't know how I'm going to implement that color into this thing. Maybe and that's like the optional modifier. Sometimes I probably might not need that color. Maybe it could be used for something else, maybe like an accent color or something like that. The whole point is that you're just trying to spark the, creativity and just really get that all, in motion, Again, if we stuck, and mind you, I will say, the fact that this show really has challenged me as well, because there are things that I really wanted to do and take it to a different direction, but the modifiers were either like they were the make or break. Sometimes some pieces I made were super fun, really, really awesome, on par for the course. And then there were some other times where I'm like, I feel like I could have done this differently if I didn't go that particular route. And again, we'll never know. The whole point is to really just get that active,
Yeah. That's why it's optional.
Alrighty then.
But
So I don't know. So first of all, I don't know if I'm supposed to be like drawing yet. Were you guys gonna say, okay, now you start your engines or
Oh,
anything?
go ahead, man. There's no start drawing.
I apologize. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, start going for it, man. Again, I'm just yapping. We're yipping. We're yapping. We're trying to figure out how these characters work sometimes, you know? Because again, we're sometimes we need to say our ideas out loud when we're trying to see how they function, you know. And already Fish is in his sketching phase, got his body all down. You already got the face down, which, not gonna lie, it looks like Toxie from the Toxic Avenger a little bit.
So I was trying to go more the Clayface angle because he's a shapeshifter.
Are you trying to go the more like body horror route, if you will?
Kinda.
Oh, okay. I can imagine this character would probably, like, again, he's a profit seeker, so maybe he could work for like one of those like circus shows that has like those. And here we have the hairy man, the 2-foot woman, like that kind of thing. And maybe,
okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure. Again, I'm just chucking ideas out there.
I was starting to draw a suit because I was thinking maybe since he's like a profit seeker, but then if he's a good guy, that doesn't really make any sense.
Well, and then again, there's the story motivation aspect of it.
And again, if any part of it, like, if one part conflicts with a really cool idea that's coming together otherwise, you can chuck that part out. It's not the end of the
Not gonna lie, I think we're a little bit rebellious right about now, knowing that we are not, like, at least, from how it sounds, like we're not going completely by what we're rolling. Shocker. At least you're not for me, because I know.
Well, I mean, I can't count how many times, like, I forgot one aspect, like when we rolled up Meteor Mandy and Jupiter Jack, like they were supposed to have a weakness to a particular item as their modifier, and I never accounted for that in Meteor Mandy. Like, it just never really came up.
What's going on my screen?
I got all the other stuff covered in there. I got the size changing and the energy blasts and all that stuff, but yeah, I totally forgot about that part. And as I go back now and I'm like looking for characters that I want to highlight in videos and stuff, advertising the campaign, and I go back and look at like what we rolled, I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot that part for her, or forgot that part for him. I think your video dropped out there.
Yeah, no, I did. For some reason, it's frozen right
Oh,
now. I have no idea why that's the case. So I'm gonna.
What is the item that is going to turn this guy into such a weird looking guy?
And that is up to you. That is up to how you're going to be able to dictate that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't actually asking the question.
Oh, well, sorry.
Just thinking. Yeah, like
it was a rhetorical question. The other direction I was thinking about going with this was maybe like the eyes without a face thing. Like maybe give him like a mask. So then we're maybe getting too far into like the that character from the 90s, the mask. I don't know.
Yeah. Or it could be like an accidental mutation thing, like the Ninja Turtles, and or Toxic Avenger for that matter. He might have gotten accidentally exposed to something he wasn't supposed to, that turned him into a shape-shifting, heat-resistant. What was his other power? I can't.
Not fully sure. He has it written on his screen though.
I have it down. Sonic Scream is the other one.
Oh yeah. The Sonic Scream. Oh, that's right.
I mean, you could say that the artifact could also be. It could be living. It could be non-living. It could be, again, if you really want to go like the more body horror route, you can definitely make it like a weird like parasite that ended up kind of infecting him or something like that. I don't know. Again, chugging ideas out there. Just Chucking spaghetti, see what sticks. All right. I do like the idea of this character that I'm making. Ironically enough, being skinny, like really, really thin, and then he just happens to. He's a scientist too, so maybe like, I can definitely see something interesting with this. I was trying to go for a more intensive posing, but I'm like, I probably need to get the design down. No, you know what? No, I'm gonna break the mold on this one. We're gonna really breaking things out of here. Got hit with radioactive device that destabilized his molecules that allows him to shapeshift. That could be something for your character.
I tell you, we got some of the most creative folks in our comments that just keep kicking out awesome ideas.
Maybe I should be checking that. Maybe
keep an eye out for the comments. Who knows? They might be the reason why you create the next big thing.
Who else has got some cool ideas out there? Dadpool, where you at, man? You always got something awesome. Got something saved up in the back pocket. Where's R.S. Shepherd been? I need to holler at him. He ain't been here in a minute, and he's always got some good ideas.
The more I think about it, like my kind of character would be more like a super scroll, like an alien that happens to be shape-shifting and then also has like, body weapon-like powers. It's kind of like a scroll almost.
Yeah.
All right. And this is usually the hard part where things get quiet and we need to figure it out.
This is the one time that I do like having writers on because they're not drawing, so they can just sit there and look at the comments and help read them while we're face down, focused on what we're doing. So, what made you land on Beowulf for your main character?
I remember it was my parents had one of those Time Life books about fairy tales, legends, and I read about Beowulf as a kid, and I remember thinking, "Hey, this kind of reminds me of a comic book." That was kind of the beginning of feeling like realizing that nothing is new. Every idea comes from someplace else, and yeah, it was. What made me settle on it, I think a lot of it was what I was saying. Like there aren't a lot of depictions of Beowulf in pop culture. At least not as many as say Robin Hood. I guess I keep going back.
Cthulhu at this point is really popular. Tarzan,
Right.
Sherlock Holmes.
Dracula is probably the most popular one, right?
Oh yeah. There's been a bunch of Dracula ones.
Well, I think at one point, I think at one point Dracula and Sherlock Holmes were neck and neck for the Guinness World Record for most adaptations.
How could you not? It's a classic horror monster, classic detective.
That's too much. I don't like it.
I'm not paying any attention to what you guys are doing. Sorry.
No, you good. You good.
Oh no, no problem. I have to dance around to look at your screen at all because I have my phone as my camera in front of this big TV screen, and I have to move around the camera to see what's going on there.
All right, I gotta figure out how I can make this guy look like he's a shapeshifter.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple different versions, and then afterwards I'll decide which one I like the best.
I'm gonna go for a more
There you go.
cartoonier aesthetic. No, it's not a word. My sister heard me right now. She'd be like, "That's not a word. Cartoony is not a word." Well, I'm the college dropout, and you're not, so I get to say whatever I want.
I don't have to worry about what words is.
Well, I'm a college graduate, which means I'm more in debt than you. So
Well, look at you with your fancy degree thinking you're better than me. You're probably right. I'm just jealous.
As you should.
All right. Okay. I'm kind of digging the silhouette that I got going on here. I also like the chunky, like, utility belt. He's a scientist, so I can see him definitely needing to carry around a few things and stuff.
I must admit, I think our earlier conversation before the show definitely had
An impact.
added some seasoning to my creativity, because my dude definitely has a luchador vibe going on.
Oh yeah.
But,
So before we were here, Fish and I were talking about, like, obviously the role for HERO Handbook, and then this one idea that spawned, this, because my brother-in-law, he ended up, rolling. I bugged him and I'm like, hey, I need you to roll me a couple dice here and there through Google, because he doesn't have dice on hand. And he came up with this really, really weird character concept, and I started drawing it out, and then he was like, yeah, that's pretty much the way it is. And it was a really weird design, and it looks really hysterical. And then when I showed Fish, he was like, that's just like a weird, it makes me want to do luchador dinosaurs. And I'm like, you know what? That's actually probably a way cooler concept. So
it absolutely looks like a dinosaur luchador.
Luchador dinosaur.
Maybe not a specific dinosaur, but it definitely
yeah,
looks like
I'll
a
show it off because
dinosaur.
I have I have it over here. This for
Dragon Gaming says another idea for your characters. Maybe they found a canister filled with a strange liquid in it and got sprayed on him, and the liquid is changeling blood from an old folk tales, because science can't leave magic alone. Oh, that's
So
interesting.
I think I'm going with the idea that some type of meteor on his chest.
Okay.
That this is, and it's still kind
yeah,
of smoking.
But for some context, this is the character that my brother-in-law ended up rolling up, and I drew for him. And then when I showed Fish, he was like, oh, because the legs definitely had like the bunny leg to dinosaur ratio thing there. He wore a mask, so that's why. So he was very.
That is 100% a luchador dinosaur. Perhaps a shape-shifting one. Like, I'm wondering if that mace hand goes from like a regular hand into a mace into like an axe or whatever.
I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Or is it just permanently there? I think it's more fun, the latter.
No, I don't think it's permanently like that. I think he's a shapeshifter, so he can turn his hand into whatever he wants. He can pretend to be, I don't know.
Wait, you know what? Instead of doing a peace sign, he's going to do the Spock's hand gesture.
If he can turn different body parts into different things, this story could get X-rated very quickly, right?
I mean, hey, nothing's stopping nobody.
It could happen.
I mean, have you seen what's on Indie Planet?
Oh, it goes all over the place. Though they will pull stuff sometimes.
Really? Like they'll take something out because it's that bad?
Like if something's going like way too far on, like, I don't want to go talking out examples and get us banned on YouTube or something, but like you could think of examples where it could get way too graphically violent or something, and then be like, nah, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be associated with that.
I would be okay with them removing comic books that maybe take like a racist route
Oh yeah.
or stuff like that. I don't think they should take comic books off there just for being like pornographic, though.
No, I don't think they would. I mean, unless it was breaking laws or, dealing with people that, can't consent or,
Yeah, I'm in favor of
then
that.
yeah.
To me, that's not censorship. To me, that's
Like a lot of people want to get way too graphic with their like I'm trying to say it without saying the words and getting us in trouble or something here, but uh some comics I've seen go way too far in. You could let us know that the mortician is mistreating the bodies of the
okay.
ladies on his table without having to show him, you know,
Period.
entering the forbidden field. Like you don't have to be graphic about that, or was somebody hurting children, or some of these things. And people will get really graphic with some of this stuff sometimes, trying to be, Mr. Edgelord, and oh, look how cool my book is because it's so, it's so gross. But like, yeah, I totally understand not wanting your business associated with publishing those kind of images. Whether you're against them in the story ultimately or not, I still wouldn't want to be producing that. Like, I finally had to just make a rule and start telling people I'm not doing stuff with the
Nazi.
losers of World War II in it anymore because I am tired of having to look up
Nazi.
propaganda posters and stuff from Germany back in the day. I don't want to look up the images anymore. I don't want that in my search history. I don't want that in my mind. I don't want to have to draw another one of those bent up crosses again. I don't want to. So I'm not doing it anymore. I don't care if they're the bad guys. I don't care if you're punching them. I don't care if you're trying to make a point. I don't want to draw them anymore. It's bad for my mental health, and so I'm not doing it. And there's plenty of other people out there that will. If that's if that's your bad guy, go at it. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying I don't hire me to do it. But that's one thing I finally had to put down just for myself. It was getting to be too much for me.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. You know what the crazy part is? Like, as crazy as this is about to sound, at some point in like by the time we hit the 2040s, right, we are going to eventually say that World War II was 100 years ago. Think about that for a second.
Yeah,
Like,
that's nuts.
that's a bonkers concept.
It's gone from the thing that
But
my stepdad fought in to it's fixing to be like ancient history,
right.
which to a lot of people it is already, and they don't think like your grandma was around for that. Your mom was born while dad was overseas.
Well, it's crazy for me to think. Like my mom told me that she can remember like on Veterans Day parades and stuff. They would have like Civil War veterans, and like it's crazy. Like you think of the Civil War as something that happened like centuries ago.
The last Civil War widow just died like not that long ago. I mean, she was a very young bride to a very old man, mostly to just move in and take care of him in his old age and to be able to benefit from his military benefits and stuff so that money would keep going to somebody who needed it. So he married this young girl, not as a gross thing, but as a trying to be generous to her. And but she just died like not that long ago. like in my lifetime.
Wow.
That is crazy. Archive Man asks, "What are your thoughts on the Masters of the Universe 2016 or 2026?" Sorry.
Oh, 2026. I saw it. I liked it.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
It's very fun. There's no message to it whatsoever. There's no big philosophical point. It's just meant to be fun.
You see, we need more movies like that. Honestly, we really do. Sometimes we look for every Inception or for every Dark Knight Rises. We sometimes need a Sharknado and a Spy Kids. Do they need to be philosophical? Absolutely not. Do they just need to be a fun time? Yes. Is it okay to have both the dumb and the smart? I mean, how else are we going to function as people? You can't have a coin with two. You can't have a coin with one side.
Great job of making. I thought they did a great job of walking the line between taking it seriously and being respectful of the original material, and like laughingly wink at the parts that are weird and stupid about He-Man, and like the names are dumb. They are, but that's part of the fun, and that's part of what I loved about it as a kid. And I loved thinking up like cool pun names for new characters and stuff that could be on there. And I dug that, and I still do. But it is objectively silly, and I think they did a good job of, paying homage to it and treating it as respectfully as they can, but also like,
acknowledging it, but not in a disrespectful manner.
Yeah, and using Kid Adam as the excuse for coming up with these names himself, because he was a kid and couldn't remember all these grown-ups names. I thought that was pretty clever way of handling it, instead of like trying to make Fisto like Eric Fistofferson, and they call him Fisto for short or something.
Like trying to
that would get really hard to do after a while.
It's like instead of like, for instance, a good example is Ben 10. Like they had to come up with the name Tennyson to justify then calling him Ben 10, not just because of the 10 aliens, but like they try to justify it. They didn't. The He-Man movie didn't,
because it's not going to say 10 aliens. So, but Ben 10 is such a fun name, you don't want to lose that. And,
exactly, but the He-Man movie didn't try to like Tennyson it, if you will. A weird way to say it, but like they didn't try to make it sound like a proper name that would then make the joke of it kind of been pulled off. It's just like, no, yeah, go for it. Make it sound silly. All right, now I'm kind of glad. Now, I am trying to keep up with the fact that I was trying to use Pokemon as the inspiration here, so I'm going to figure out a way to implement the Pokeball without incorporating the Pokeball. How we're going to do that, we'll figure that out. I think this is the most Pokemon thing I have probably ever drawn, or like something like that, because growing up, especially with Pastors for Parents, we were totally not allowed to watch Pokemon as a kid, as kids. Because like each of them are all representative of demons.
How old were you?
Well, I mean, mind you, I'm born in '99, so anime was just on the rise. So my parents were really cautious of that, and rightfully so. I will admit, to some extent, like Pokemon, it's whatever. But
I freely admit, I did not let my kids watch Pokemon either. But it was mostly just because of how crazy kids got about it, and I didn't want my kids just getting completely obsessed over this one thing like everyone in their class was. And I mean, not that I didn't want them to have fun. Like, I mean, we loved Ben 10 and stuff, and we collected all the figures and whatnot when they were little. It always creeped me out how freaky obsessive the kids got over Pokemon, and they would get that look in their eye like a meth head chick that thinks she's going to get $20 out of you for another hit. And I did not like that addict look in their eyes, and so I avoided it with my
Yeah,
kids.
kind of like that
honestly,
episode of South Park where they it's like they're using Pokemon as like a way of like brainwashing.
indoctrination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. What up, Mark the Shark? How you doing? Welcome on in.
So
And to
I'm
answer,
like halfway between you guys in terms of age, and so I think I was like 20 years old maybe when Pokemon came along. So it was never really an issue for me. I was kind of like, what is this thing that kids are obsessed with?
I will say I'm kind of glad I'm very, very happy that my parents didn't let us watch anime as kids, just because in general anime is a really Japanese thing, and Japan got Japan things going on over there that honestly should not be very much implemented in the minds of young children. Again, culture over in Japan is very different compared to America, so I'm glad.
Well, and you can't look at like all anime as like designed for kids the way we think all cartoons are designed for kids here, because they're not either. But like, for them, anime is everything from funny kid stuff to like straight up only for adult entertainment stuff, and we don't look at it the same way, so you can't like lump it in together. But at the same time, you got to be careful, because it's not hard for a kid to get from one to the other if
If not,
especially when they're young, you're not paying attention and you don't know what it is and you're not watching it with them. It's real easy to not know if what they're watching is appropriate or not.
Dragon Gaming says one of my youngest cousins, as a kid, had been obsessed with Godzilla, and he is in high school now, still crazy about Godzilla. Honestly, I would rather, kids be obsessed more with monsters, because at least those, to an extent, you can at least categorize into something else. You got Monsters Inc., you got Godzilla, and then you have Pokemon. Those to an extent you can kind of. Again, it was different. I'm glad too, because again, I've seen some of the anime kids in my high school growing up, and I'm like, oh, I could have been that, because I know how obsessive I can be with nerd culture. Thank God that I'm more obsessed with superheroes than anything else. But there are some things out there where I'm like, oh, I would have been so painfully cringe. Now, am I yucking anyone's yum? No. Listen, enjoy the things that you want to enjoy. Obviously, my parents and my siblings very much didn't understand such nerd culture. Like, they understand the movies. They understand the superhero cartoons. We love Static Shock. It's one of our favorite superheroes. But also there are some things that honestly my family is definitely not prepared to endure by comparison of the other nerd stuff that I'm into. Like, I can get into He-Man, I can get into Thundercats, whatever, this, that, and the other stuff that America has made, because, at least they had to go through a filtered system here. But other forms of entertainment, it's like very, very cautious, so you got to be careful with that kind of stuff, because again, we don't know like how these things operate in other parts of the world. But yeah, I've seen how some of these kids act in school, and I'm like, thank God my parents didn't let me watch anime, because I would have been so bad.
My wife keeps trying to talk me into doing an anime convention here in town, and I just keep telling her, like, that's my nightmare, like being surrounded by people who just love. I mean, first of all, at least from my experience, they buy nothing. Like, the minute they see that your comic book wasn't made in Japan, they're like, no, thank you, I don't want that.
Or it's not made in their style that they like. Which is the one thing that's very weird to me about it. That's the one thing that I find weird about manga and anime is the consistency of the look across it all. And lots of artists look very different than each other, and you can absolutely like tell particular artists apart from each other. But there definitely is an overarching look to it. And you could probably say the same thing about comics at times in America, especially like in the 90s.
So
All of them had
so
a
as
very
soon as you started talking
look.
about this, that's what went through my head. Sorry to interrupt you, but but um,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, like I mean, when I was a kid, I loved Rob Liefeld. I loved Jim Lee. I loved all of those Image comic books that were terrible, and all the older guys at the comic book store thought we were fucking nuts. Sorry, am I allowed to swear on here?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
I'm not gonna control your life, there, bud. Live your life. Speak
Okay,
how
but
you will.
and you know I mean it's crazy because I remember there was one issue of X-Force that Rob Liefeld did the cover for, but then the interior art was done by Mike Mignola. And I remember when I opened the comic book, I was so disappointed to see Mike Mignola art, which is in retrospect is so crazy to me because now Mike Mignola is one of my favorite artists, and
now you understand the beauty of it, but at the time, you wanted all that cross hatching and the tiny
yeah, I
feet,
mean, and you know,
and
and I I I don't understand the obsession that some people get with anime, um, but I'm sure. I mean, like I said, I know for a fact the older guys at the comic book store thought we're sitting there laughing their ass off because we loved Rob Liefeld and
Mhm.
all the Rob Liefeld clones. Um, I mean, I think Jim Lee was I think both Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane they kind of started their own thing, and I think that they were miles above uh, Rob Liefeld in terms of talent. But even I mean some of their comic books. I mean, from a story standpoint, their comic books were just as terrible.
Oh yeah.
So I guess that the point I'm making is that that's kind of the way the world works. Like I don't, my parents' generation didn't understand the stuff that we were into. I don't understand the stuff that these kids are into. I mean, just every time. I mean, to me, Spider-Man is a classic design. When I see these kids show up at my booth at these conventions and they're dressed in their anime stuff, I just scratch my head like, what is the appeal of this? Um, I don't know. Uh,
Yeah. The thing that blows my mind though is the overall agreed consistency, and this is what the look is going to be of the art. And just as an artist, that seems so limiting to me. And I know people like will stretch it and they'll go in slightly different directions or do things a little different, but still, you have relatively very slender bodies and very large eyes and very stylized hair, and there's a lot of caveats that stay the same across it all, which is just weird to me because you're not going to see that many animated movies that all have exactly the same look, or that many illustrations or whatever that all have the same look, or bands that all have the exact same sound. That's just weird to me. But I'm not knocking it. I like a lot of manga. I like anime. I just It's just unusual to me. But you work in whatever the style and the tropes are of your day, and most people my age fill pages with cross hatching because that's what Liefeld and Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane did, and those were the guys that made a huge impact on them when they were kids. So they do it because they did it and never really questioned why. And so, I mean, it's the same
I think
thing, I
also
guess.
something we have to take into consideration is also like the culturalistic parts of it too. Because keep in mind that Marvel at the time used to have a house style,
I
meaning that
I
every
was going to bring
artist
that up
So, because like every artist in Marvel had to stick to, I think it was John Romita Sr. style at the time. And again, his art was very crisp. It was very clean. You can very much like he basically gave Marvel like the way that I would probably distinct it is like this. Think about like the DC animated universe, like with like Justice League, Batman. That is that style, if you will. And then you have John Romita Sr. style. That was like the style for Marvel for a very, very long time because again, it was a very distinctive style. So the guys over like Todd McFarlane, and everyone else who used to work for Marvel, they wanted to break the mold. Hence why they created Image because they didn't want to stay stuck to the style. They wanted to break out. So that's also the reason.
Yeah, but they had been doing that for a long time already, but they knew they were popular and they had the freedom to be able to try and do it because they were so popular.
I mean, there were a couple guys who broke the house style. I would say one was definitely Neil Adams. I would say another one was Frank Miller. I mean, obviously, Bill Sienkiewicz took the house style and tore it up and took a piss on it. But I would argue that there's a little bit of a house style in DC now, just because from what I've seen, to me, it looks like in general, Jim Lee likes artists who look like him, and not in all situations, but he does tend to hire people who look like his style. I don't know.
And I would say he had probably the biggest impact on modern comics of probably anybody, because there's so many people. Like, he changed the way people draw mouths and eyes and things across the board. And I see hints of his work in so many artists' stuff, and occasionally even little hints in what I do. I haven't tried to be a Jim Lee clone in years and years, but every once in a while there's little bits that will creep in because he was really good at some of that stuff, especially making stuff look somewhat gritty and somewhat realistic, but still comic bookish,
Yeah. Also, what's it called too? Because like again, going back to styles, like here's what I will say too. I think a really good example of like why I think anime ends up in defense of anime too. Because the other night I was telling Fish that I was watching Spy Family. They have a movie out. It was called Spy Family Code White. If you were to take the exact premise of Spy Family and have it here in America, that will not work out. It will not work out by any metric. Because again, here in America, we at least have like we're really like trying to keep up with the franchise, if you will. And again, anime always actually keeps improving. They always have newer shows and newer ideas. And that's also because that they end up making their stuff as mangas first, and then they actually have polls and votes. So a lot of people are voting, through the manga subscriptions, because again, they have them as like magazines that they'll have out in like convenience stores, and they'll have a little card. And those cards are actually the reasons why like some shows even get picked up as TV shows. Some even,
Neat.
So that's why there's always newer forms of anime out there. There's newer forms of telling stories. Spy Family would never work here in America because nobody wants to watch about spies, or at least that's what companies and corporations think, But again, turns out there's actually been a thing for that. So, and again,
yeah, we already did Spies in the 70s, and it people quit watching it in the 70s or the 80s. So yeah, that doesn't work.
So what you're saying is, in Japan, comic books are kind of like a test audience for the issues.
Yeah.
I mean, people have speculated that that's kind of what comic books are in the United States, where it's like, I mean, the amount of money that Warner Brothers makes off of all of DC Comics is so little. It's like, why does it even still exist? But I mean, that's what it is. It's a test audience. Like, it was like, the Tom King Supergirl miniseries was popular, so therefore we're going to turn it into a movie.
Well, also keep in mind they also try to keep the like, especially for some things, they try to use the whole concept of being like a nominated type of thing. You know, they always want like nominated based books, ones that were very popular, ones that did sell well. Like, again, a lot of people try to use The Dark Knight Returns or The Dark Knight Rises as a means of their inspiration for telling a story, but that's because they were the most popular and they sold the most books. There are practically tons of other stories out there that are probably way better than the stuff that was like nominated or stuff that was sold more. You know, like some books, there are some stories out there that are practically way better than the things that made money. The problem is, though, those stories made money and therefore were caught in the eyes of many people. So, yeah, of course, it's not going to be the most easiest thing to really come by, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, essentially in Japan, like mangas were essentially like test audiences, and if it got popular enough, it got the animation. So that's why anime is so popular and is by far the most influential thing, you know, at least here in the States too, because again, there's so much fresh storytelling coming from mangas because again, they're trying to, you know, tell different stories. Here in America, we try to stay bound to what we know. We know superheroes were selling really, really well, especially during the wartime efforts. So who's to say they can't stop selling now? And I mean, heck, Marvel and DC are still around, you know, to varying degrees. They have tons of successful books like the Absolute and the Ultimate Universes. But then also sometimes they're tanking because they decide to take risks that end up like they thought would have been a really unique direction, but then also end up screwing them over in the process. But in Japan, again, they also, but keep in mind too, I'm not actually going to glorify Japan because also their work culture is very, very intensive, especially if you're a creative or a manga creator as well. I mean, those are pretty brutal stakes to be in. But, you know, they also got to go through a whole curated thing. You know, there's somebody on TikTok that I follow, and I think he follows me back, and he's trying to be published in Shonen Jump. He's trying to be published in the most popular, you know, company in Japan. And the thing is, they got to go through tons of different editorials. Like they're going to tell them like, oh no, we don't like this, we don't like this, we like this, but we don't like this. And they're basically curating a whole system, if you will. So that's the reason why anime is so popular, because it also goes through a curated process of like, usually these tend to sell well. It's like, it's a man-made algorithm. Instead of it being computers, it's people being like, this works, and this works. Try to implement this, but still making it your own kind of a deal.
So they don't have any like self-published market at all over there.
I mean, there may be, but a lot of them are like anthology magazines that have a lot of different stories in them, and like this one is like all boy action stories, and it may have a lot of different cool mangas that you know, like One Punch Man and stuff, appearing in it. And you get a copy like each week, and it has another short insert of 10 stories or whatever in it.
And basically, and that's where it's supposed to hook you, because it's like, oh, if we actually, and again, that's how they get more audiences. That's how they get more eyes on their, what's it called? That's how they get more eyes on all those stories, because it's like, oh, well, since we kind of have an audience here, we might as well shove like 4 or 5 different stories. And if they're new ones or if there's something that's interesting, they're like, ooh, hence the cards, and hence why they want to vote for those. That's why. So they do have avenues of getting newer creators to try to pitch their stories. And if it works out, it works out. And if they get hooked onto it, then they're going to be like, all right, you're going to create the story, make it as best you can. The editors are going to be there, and they're going to tell them what's going to work, what's not going to work, and how they're going to like function through all of that, you know?
And it makes it a little bit easier to try out a new story, because you're not trying to support an entire book off of it. You can give the new story, you know, a couple of shots in this book and see if anybody bites and likes it. And, you know, when those cards come back in and people voting on the stories, if nobody likes it, then, you know, maybe you only got those 2 issues, those 2 little short bits of your story out. But
can I tell you,
then you move on
as you guys were saying this, I'm amazed that nobody's tried to do this here in the United States. The voting.
Mean, there are smaller companies. There are companies out there. There's I think one called Slingshot, which are supposed to be like a representation of like David and Goliath trying to knock out the bigger corporations. There's Saturday AM, Saturday PM, which are trying to be manga-based subscriptions, and eventually at some point you could buy the series on their own. But I don't think they're trying to. I'm not fully sure how those companies work as of right now, but at least I mean, there are companies out there trying, but again, to varying forms of success.
I really wanted to do. That's why I did my series Fishtails. I wanted to do an anthology book and let other people jump in on it that wanted to, and just put it out and let it be. Each issue would have another installment of my Alice Lost in Wonderland story and whatever else people came up with that they wanted to do that was good enough. Like I wasn't just going to publish anything. Like it had to be interesting and it had to look decent, and you had to be able to read the lettering and stuff. But if you had an interesting book, I'd be happy to add in, 4 to 8 pages or whatever of your story, and we could start telling that one too. Each time we put one out, I would have loved to have gotten it to monthly or bi-weekly or something, but trying to organize indie comic guys into working together is like trying to herd squirrels, and it is just dang near impossible.
That is not an easy process. Because then also, like, mind you, too, with indie comics, you got to deal with people's different schedules, whether or not they actually have work full-time, part-time, or, maybe they got, like, 5 different side hustles that they're just trying to do, and maybe comics is just, like, happens to be, like, side hustle number 2 or number 75. Who knows?
Yeah. And then you got egos and whatnot, and, well, if mine's not going to be first, or if, it's not going to be called the Mr. Fish book and everybody else or whatever, people make it hard on themselves for no reason, but that's people.
And people be peopling, and sometimes we don't like it when they do that. But what you gonna do?
They do it all the time. Oh man, I like your shape-shifting illustration, man. That's coming out cool. Oh, I'm loving the purple on that, man.
Well,
That's cool.
we're both doing shape. Oh, okay. I haven't been looking at either of your stuff.
I am offended. That's fine. I am offended, sir. How dare you? That's okay.
Well, it's interesting that we both go different routes. You went more like the Plastic Man or Mr. Fantastic route, and I went more the Clayface route.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's
what I love.
Yeah, I was
is seeing where everybody goes with it and what they do with it.
I was just going to give your book another plug. It's in that it's a neat idea in that, like you said, you're really just it's a jumping off point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's also
and like even when we all roll up the same prompt, we always come up with such different characters off of it, and that's part of what I find really interesting about it.
That was how this show operated for season 1. We both basically drew up, like the first couple episodes when we first started this whole show, we basically rolled the same character, and it was more or less like trying to figure out like how 2 different artists could take the same thing and then take it in its own direction. We ended up rolling, like, one time we drew this character that were based on like element powers, and then they had like, it was a whole thing. Like one of the characters that I really liked a lot from it. So the way that he thought about his character is that he had stone, like they both had like the element controllability, and it was in a fantasy or a magic setting. And Fish took his character to being like he can control stones, so he can actually phase through them, use the stones to work around him, kind of a thing. And then my character, I ended up taking it a very different direction and making it like a tribal warrior, that wears these masks that allow them to contact the animal spirits or whatever. Again, taking the same power concepts, but taking it to 2 very, very different directions. Again, two different artists are going to take this in a very different direction. So that was the original intent of the show. But then we kept expanding and expanding. And then when season 2 kicked in, we created a whole science fiction universe, very pulpy, sci-fi, but also still implementing whatever fun stuff we can try to put in there. And then season 3, it got weird, I will say. Season 3 for me is still one of the odd seasons, but that is just my opinion there.
You've been doing this a while.
Yeah, well, we've also got relatively short seasons, so that helps.
Oh yeah, so again, I try to keep it down to
Keeps us from being stuck in one thing for too terribly long. But
yeah.
ADD is brutal.
There we go. Should I do green? Nah, green skin's so typical. Green skin of aliens are just too easy. Could do gray. I could do purple. It's not a bad idea.
I was thinking about doing green for a while, just because you guys brought up the Toxic Avenger, but I don't know what made me settle on purple.
It low-key looks like the Incredible Bulk, not gonna lie, if you remember that movie.
I don't think I ever saw the Incredible Bulk, but I did see clips of it.
Yeah, it was a really, really great. They shot the whole thing in green screens. It was poor. It's one of those movies that looks like it was made with like the budget of a pack of Coke and a cigarettes, and that's it.
Maybe it did have. Maybe that was the budget.
Maybe. All right, and honestly, that's my shape-shifting hero. I think I'm more or less done because I don't know if I go any further, I probably might ruin it. Maybe I might change the color of the skin, or that could be a fun part that the skin is colored. Ooh. Oh, wait, that could be an idea. Or, you know what, let me change the color of the pupil here, making that like a white pupil. Because I always like the idea that like the aliens have like the black. Ooh. Not sure about that. Or I can kind of do what could.
Oh, that's why it's doing it. I had my select color gamut set 10, not 1. So fishy. No wonder it was grabbing so many similar colors.
Nah.
You guys mind if I mention my Kickstarter again, just in case people came in?
Please.
No, man.
This is supposed to be a platform for that. Go for it, man.
Yeah, Beowulf Grendel's Curse. It's a modern retelling of Grendel, kinda. It's a retelling and a continuation. The main thing you need to remember is that his sidekick is a cat, because people seem to really like that. That's on Kickstarter right now. I'm assuming you already put the
link is in the description, and I will share it out again in the chat.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's always coming along. They're looking good from here. Yeah, thank you so much for that there, Dragon Gaming. Honestly, I kind of like the direction that I went. Again, I went for the more cartoonier side of it. He looks like the kind of, again, something that like you would see in a...
Hi, wife.
Oh.
Hi, wife.
There's the wife.
I need a name for my guy.
Same here.
Dragon Gaming, Deadpool, I'm looking at y'all. I need a name for my dude here. I'm really liking the character that I've come up with here. Like, I'm thinking he's a former sidekick that used to roll alongside the hero, the golden whatever, like, definitely a gold themed hero that had like the luchador mask, and he's got these big knuckles that when he slams these things together, the powers activate, and he gets a little bit of super strength, and he gets his vulnerability at heat, and he can mimic and copy other people's abilities and stuff, and sort of Taskmaster-ish.
Okay.
Whatever you can do, he can mimic it and do it too. To a point. you know, like if you're generating magic fireballs with your chi or something, he could mimic that. If you're like a mutant who sprays fire out of your mouth, probably not.
I would say
But
try to go for something Mayan or Aztec adjacent, since that is like, Mexican, very Aztec, again, very luchador-esque, if you will.
yeah,
Could I?
like maybe it's a old artifact from some old warriors or something
Ooh.
that that they're using for this.
Okay, hold on. I'm thinking like Reyes or like rays, like as in the rays of sun. That you could probably play into that. Hence, like the golden features, like gold as the sun, kind of a thing.
Oh man, and if it was like the golden ray and sunbeam or something, like something like kitschy like that was like his sidekick name to the hero when he was a kid, but like the hero died and gave him the mask and told him to carry on, and he picks up the Knuckles and puts the mask on and powers up, and like I'm thinking either kills the bad guy that killed the hero or completely gets his butt kicked by the villain and then goes on this like mission to take out that bad guy, and then just becomes like the head bad dude. Like he's lost all love for, if this is what sacrificing yourself for the greater good gets, I don't want to be a part of it, kind of thing. And starts just going out for himself, gets his heart broken by seeing his mentor get killed. Ooh. And how about the gold standard? Oh, see, I like that.
Wait, hold on. Keep up with it. Call him Golden Rule.
The Golden Rule.
See, I'm thinking gold standard for the original hero, like the gold standard and Golden Boy. Oh, that's cool. And then, he takes over and ends up. The Golden Rule ain't bad. That's not bad at all. And like I'm going to take control, I'm going to rule, I'm going to and kind of a little bit of maybe a Red Hood kind of motivation. If I'm the worst there is and I'm controlling the crime around here, then at least I can keep control of how bad it's going to get, and make sure kids aren't getting hurt and whatnot.
Oh, hold on a second. All right,
I like the idea.
Dadpool saying I should call him Doughboy, and then now I'm thinking about the actual Pillsbury Doughboy and trying to make the colors like white, blue, and black. Hold on. There's something there.
And his secret weakness is poking him in the belly button because he's incredibly ticklish. I am so freaking ticklish. I have to warn all these poor techs every time I go get an EKG every couple of months at the heart doctor. I'm like, all right, look, I'm incredibly ticklish and I'm allergic to all these leads. So just excuse me. I'm going to squirm and giggle and act a fool. And it sets off my Tourette's, and it is a pain in the butt.
And now that you mentioned that, my wife just had to attack me.
As they do.
Does anybody have a name for my character?
I feel like the mold actually would have fit your character because it sounds horror-esque, but also it has that like sci-fi horror edge to it. It's like, look out, it's the mold. Sounds gross,
but like it sounds scary, like like mold, but also like he can form himself into any shape that he needs to, like a mold.
Someone says
it's not bad.
Someone said to call your
because it's definitely got a bit of a horror-ish vibe to it, which I dig.
Yeah, we got who said it there. Dadpool says, Grant, you should call yours Fester.
Fester. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you even got high.
See, that's how we come in with the names. I think it was Deadpool who came up with the Septile, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think it was. Maybe we would
The
have to.
Reptile.
Yeah, it's when,
Yeah, that was a good
yeah,
one.
it's when I had to.
We ended up naming like the whole species of alien that because it was they were these reptilian shapeshifters, and that was a fun episode. I wasn't even here for that episode. I was on the highway watching on my phone and was listening to him and TS come up with these characters, and they're describing off all these traits of, this middle of the road villain kind of character, like could be a Han Solo, could be a Lando Calrissian, kind of, don't know what they're going to do, shady character that's not a hero, not a villain, and had all these shape shifting abilities and all this stuff, and the more they talked about it, and the more they were talking through their ideas, the more I kept thinking of Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch. And so when I got a chance, I drew mine, and he's absolutely a space pimp, and got the hat and the suit and the whole 9 yards. And I love him to death. Oh man, Deadpool. All right, man. Have fun. See you later.
Oh, all
It was
right.
good hanging out.
Glad
So
you're
just
gonna
to
start taking-
Just to let you guys know, I am gonna have to head out here soon. I did tell my wife I would give her a ride to run some errands. But
Oh yeah, no problem, man. No problem. Let's take another look at the Kickstarter real quick before we
Thank
get
you.
out of here. And big in this screen, and there we go. It is Beowulf. It's what is it? Beowulf, Grendel's Curse 1 and 2 on Kickstarter, and go check it out. Uh, getting close to the goal. Getting close to the goal. Got 29 days to go, so you got plenty of time to get there.
yeah, I did a low goal this time. I don't know if you've talked to any of the creators right now, but oh man, it is
Oh,
it's a little brutal right now.
mhm.
So guys, anybody who's watching, if you can't back, that's cool. Please,
A share goes a long way.
right? Exactly.
a buck or two does go a long way. So, guys, if you have the opportunity, please go support Grant and creating Beowulf. It is actually a real artistically speaking as well. Like the whole book is compiled in a really, really amazing way. The colors are immaculate. Like the way that you produce this book is spectacular. It is honestly some of the best art, especially in indie art, in indie comics too. So like that is saying a lot because art can get really that soda. That water.
It's a good looking book. It's a good story. I really enjoyed it. It takes twists and stuff that I wasn't expecting. I'm really looking forward to. I picked up, I think, the digital whole catch up tier so I can make sure I know everything that's going on because I missed some stuff just reading issue 2. But it was really cool and has me definitely. I mean, I told you in the messages, like my wife got really concerned when I yelled out, "Oh no!" at the end of the book. And she's like, "What happened?" Thinking like somebody died or was in a wreck. And I was like, "Oh, but this," and I start pointing to the screen. And she's like, "You got me all scared for a comic book." And I was like, "But it's a good comic book."
Thanks so much,
Like,
guys.
you don't understand what just
I
happened,
appreciate
man.
the kind words. It's always nice to. I'm sure as indie creators yourself, it's always nice to get feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, thanks guys for having me on the show, and thank you for taking a look at the comic book and whatnot.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I always love reading new comics. I always try to find things that are very much out of my own comfort zone, and I also like want to see like how other people create comics. Because again, as much as we, as artists as well, like as much as we try to look at the art and also try to like make sure that the art that we create is as perfect as we possibly can make it, we're only looking at these things for mere seconds or minutes. So, getting to see how some people put their art together and compile their books really does help out a lot. And it's also very inspiring too, because there are some people whose art is probably not the best. There are those in which the art is immaculate, and in your case, the art really works with the story. And I'm not trying to, like, again, it's a really well put together book. The art in it actually matches up with the fantasy vibe that you kind of got going on for it. It's really, really interesting, and I love how it is put together. So again, from an artist standpoint, it's spectacular. I like the way that you compiled it. Again, guys, go check it out if you're into the mood for wanting to bring. And also, let's make Beowulf a thing, not just Grant's, but also if there's any other renditions of Beowulf, have at it. You know what I mean?
But also, Grant's got to get going.
Yeah, true.
So check out Beowulf on Kickstarter. Where can they find you on social media?
My name is Grant Lankard. It's a pretty distinct name. If you search that on any of the Instagram, I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I am still on Facebook, Instagram. What's the other one? Blue something.
Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Blue Sky, and what's the other replacement for Twitter? Threads. Yeah. Yeah, it was nice meeting you as well, Dragon Gaming. I did want to mention you have dragon in the name, so I don't know. In the first mini series, Beowulf goes up against a dragon. I don't know if that'll inspire you to go and check it out, but yeah, thanks everybody who was watching, and thank you guys for having me on the show.
Yeah, of course. We love having people on the show. It would be fantastic if we got more. Just to really promote more comics and get to inspire creativity. I mean, heck, the last person we had on the show, someone is trying to utilize that character in their comic books. So I mean, that's actually really awesome. So I'm really kind of glad that we're able to, inspire that kind of creativity. But we don't want to be holding you hostage. We know you got a place to go, people to see, things to do.
Well, thank you guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Absolutely, man.
All right, for sure. Same to you. Be safe out there, all right?
You too. Thanks.
All right. Oh, there we go.
He got out of there good.
There we are.
Cool. And while you're at it, you could go click on GoMrFish.com and check out the Roll for Hero campaign, which is still in the pre-launch phase. And if we get a couple more people, it'll show up the number on there, and so you can see how many people are following it. But we're going to have the awesome Roll for Hero handbook. The cover's probably going to change. The insides are definitely going to change because I've got stuff that we've seen we need to add on to it. But all kinds of cool instructions for making up your own OCs, creative ways to come up with new ideas, ways to spur that imagination when you have a little bit of artist block, ways to just be creative for 30 minutes. If you got a minute and you don't want to get too deep into something, roll up a character and see what happens. And we're going to be making the Roll for Hero mini comic together. We're going to roll up the characters, the heroes, the villains. We're going to name them. We're going to create them. We're going to figure out how everything works together. What world are we going to be in? What are the side characters going to be? We're going to get to do all that together, all the way to producing a finished book, how to print them, how to staple them, how to fold them, how to cut them, the whole 9 yards, so that you can make your own books at home.
Exactly.
So if you've ever wanted to make comics, if you know anybody that has ever wanted to make comics, if you have a really creative, precocious kid that you think could really get something out of this and you want them to be able to make cool comic books at home that they could sell to their friends for profit and make dozens of dollars, then hey,
whoa.
check out
dozens of dollars? I remember talking to TS and
dozens
we
of
about making
dollars,
tens of dollars. Dozens? That's $2 whole more, man.
The possibilities are nigh endless.
Whoa.
So check it out. GoMrFish.com. Follow the pre.
And here is my shape-shifting character. Honestly, I like the name Doughboy, so I actually went back and I made the logo a combination of the D and B, like the lowercase renditions of those.
Whoops.
Oh, there we go.
I thought I moved it to the right way. There we go. Okay, I see what you did. And it looks alien at first glance. And then you look at it, realize that's the D.
I might change the face because, again, I like the idea of a one-eyed kind of character. But if I wanted to really make it like a shape-shifting alien kind of character, I could do more like the I honestly probably even make his face look like the logo. Again, probably like with having ears or antennas that poke out. And again, like when he shape shifts or whatever, like he more like keeps the same skin color, but more or less just looks different every time. So that's why he's also a scientist. Maybe he needs to keep like a particular patch of chemicals that might actually affect the way that his face looks or something like that. I don't know. But I really like the way that this came out. Again, it's supposed to show off the shape-shifting nature, like the stretching abilities of his body, and then also getting to see the mace as the hand, as he can create weapons. It shows that he does look like an adventure seeker from his suit, because it looks like the idea of like a Fantastic Four concept just made different, which honestly I really like how this kind of looks. But yeah, I mean, I really like the way that this came out, so I'm kind of proud of this. Again, I also love doing the whole like showing the body of the arm stretching behind the back kind of a thing. I just like the way that looks.
It reminds me of a sort of shape-shifting character that I have that I've been holding on to in my back pocket that a friend of mine came up with and gave to me. But what's up, Eddie Von B? What is up, man? Good to see you. And the character is, I ended up calling him Tidal, like Tidal Wave. And he's made of like sentient water. But he's a scientist who was studying interdimensional travel, and then he finds this world that is covered in water, and he thinks is all other sentient beings like him. So he comes over as an experiment, to try out his dimension hopping device, and then gets here thinking that he's entering a world of sentient beings and scientists, only to find out that everything is dead and lifeless because he's in our ocean and the water isn't alive, and these weird creatures are alive and sentient, and he has to learn to like communicate and stuff. He ends up becoming a hero eventually because he realizes his scientific prowess can well be put to good use, helping out these poor pathetic creatures on this planet. But ultimately his goal is to find a way to get back home to his planet. But it's a really interesting fish out of water story, if you will excuse the terrible pun. Shouldn't his thumb be on the other side of his hand, Uncle E, says Dragon Gaming?
Not maybe. I don't know. I was really trying my best to. I was trying to calculate that.
He's a shapeshifter. Yeah.
He's a shapeshifter. He's supposed to do that. I mean, have you ever seen
100%? Dragon Gaming's right. I got to admit, it should. The more I look at it, like even if it's flipped around, if he had his hand on the other side of his body, the thumb would be to the inside. It's an easy mistake to make, Dragon Gaming.
Hands are
It happens to the best of us. You would not. Okay, I got to embiggen myself for this. You would not believe the number of times I have caught myself right before a book goes to print and realized I gave a character, a human being, 6 fingers on a hand. I caught myself so many times doing it. I have lost count. I used to keep a count, but like after it got over like 16, I lost count. And now I really wonder how many times I've slipped a 6-fingered man through to print and nobody ever caught it. Because
now you're gonna have some dude out there thinking that he's Inigo Montoya trying to take him out.
I've realized part of the problem is my pencils are so rough that sometimes like I roughly sketch in where the fingers are, and sometimes I'll move those lines a little bit and be like, okay, this is where I want it. But when those lines are all kind of overlapping and I ink very quickly, I get in the zone and I'm like, okay, finger, knuckle, nail, finger, knuckle, nail, finger, knuckle, nail, and don't realize that I just stuck 5 fingers on the hand beside the thumb. Yes, 2 middle fingers or 2 pinkies actually is usually closer to what happens.
All right, I think I might.
Yeah, I've made that mistake a number of times. I've caught myself several times on this show having to fix it at like the last minute and take a finger off. On some of the recent like fan art videos that I've been posting in the mornings, I've caught myself more than once putting an extra digit on a hand on some of those. And I don't show a whole lot of hands in those. So those aren't very good odds in my favor.
All right. Okay. Now I got it. There you are. Gotcha now.
But Eddie Von B, since you're just getting here, if you haven't gone to check out GoMrFish.com and checked out the Roll for Hero Handbook Kickstarter, it is in the pre-launch phase now. We are doing a Kickstarter for the actual handbook that's going to be new and revised with added tables and extended tables and revised with all the fixes to all the little bumps that we figured out play testing it on the show. And we are also going to be doing a mini comic together where like everybody that backs, even if it's for like the $5 digital tier, will get a link to each one of the live streams that we're going to do. They're going to be like unlisted, but everybody that backs gets a link to the live stream. We're looking right now at doing like probably I think we settled on like a Monday morning, our Wednesday afternoon slot, and then like a Friday evening, so we catch everybody's chance to be off of work during the week and hang out and do those. And we're going to work up new characters. We're going to create new characters together. We're going to come up with their ideas, their backstories, the villains, the side characters. We're going to come up with the story together. We're going to write it. We're going to illustrate it. We're going to letter it. And then like actually walk you through like how to print up your own books at home, how to staple them, fold them, cut them, make them look professional. So if you've ever wanted to make comics, if you know anybody that wants to make comics, if you have a precocious little artistic kid that you think would have fun learning how to make comics, this would be a really cool thing to get in on for as little as $5 and get to hang out and say, hey, I shouted out the name that ended up making this character, you know, have a fist for a head or something weird like that. You never know what's going to happen in this crazy rolled up universe. So,
Oh yeah.
check it out, hang out.
All right. I think I've officially fixed it now. So now he actually looks like his logo.
I'm
So
digging
now
it.
he has the little things that actually look like the letter D, the letter B. I'm trying to keep it more unified because if I had to draw this and I always have to go back and forth with the checker pattern, I would go nuts. So I like the idea that it's like split down the middle. Again, the blue being an homage to the actual Pillsbury Doughboy, and then the white, you know, because of that. So I love the color scheme on this. This was actually weirdly fun. And then also the fact that like there's a black spot in the middle. So that actually ended up working out being his eyes or like being his eye. So it actually kind of checks out. So
I like it. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah,
I-
this was a really fun concept.
I'm really liking my character too. I really want to do something with him. I think he probably might still need some tweaking on the costume. I kind of want to do something that makes it feel a little bit more 90s, like he's still got some of that 90s holdover edge to him, like what he thought was cool when he was younger is still what he's holding on to. Like maybe he needs some pouches. I tried a longer coat, like a trench coat, but I also kind of wanted to have like a heavyweight champion belt over it. So I don't know. Maybe the coat needs to come over the
Okay.
belt.
Or hear me out. He could either be an antagonistic force, or again, it depends on how we're gonna go about the mini comic, if you will, for the Roll for Hero streams. But I think he would be a really cool either opposing character or an antagonistic kind of character to the eventual other character that we're going to be rolling up for the Roll for Hero, not just the handbook, but the comic book based on that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, someone said 90s black leather might be a really interesting concept to work with. Currently, thank you, Dragon Gamer, for following up on the Kickstarter for the Roll for Hero mini-series. Can't wait for that. Honestly, I'm super excited for that. I can't wait to dive into those streams and actually being able to partake in that kind of comic. That'll be
it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see what it's like with because I know a lot of our regular dudes are going to hop in and hang out with us, and I know they always have great ideas, but I'm curious to see what some of the other people, like some of my other regular backers that back a lot of my stuff, are they going to come in and hang out and, you know, shout out ideas with us? What are they going to come up with? I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I know there's going to be lots of new faces in there, and
actually, speaking of, now that I think about it, I asked you this, but honestly, I kind of want to ask, you know, the fellow nieces and nephew, following the two weird uncles here. I shot the idea of somehow wanting to take the comic that we make from this for the eventual streams and then compiling them as potential webtoons. What is your thoughts on those? Again, I know that it's going to be very different for every other situation out there. But again, if the book is going to be compiled and be made by, the audience, us, everyone else in between, obviously we want to find a way to get that out there. Do you think webtoons might be the way to go? Would you guys check it out if it was on webtoons, or is there any other digital platform that we could take said comic and just kind of chuck it there? Again, I thought of it that way. Well, I mean, that's the whole point of the Kickstarter. The whole, if anyone backs it, because again, the whole point of this stream is to promote the Roll for Hero Handbook, your one-stop shop to creating characters of your very own. But also, like, again, what do you guys think about that, Fish? What are your thoughts and opinions on it?
I think it would be a neat idea to be able to have it someplace free, like webtoons, where people could stumble upon it and see it and get exposed to the ideas of what we're doing and lead back over to get to hang out and make crazy characters with us and stuff. I think it would be really cool. Eddie says, oh heck yeah, you want to plug the Kickstarter on our Weird Dopes podcast once it launches? Absolutely. Just had Rogo on for his Hollow Queen Kickstarter. You're more than welcome. We'd love to talk. Just follow. Awesome, man. Heck yeah, man. Send me a link or something. I'd be glad to come out and talk about it.
That'd be a blast and a half. Can't wait. Hey, listen, if you guys, I'll join in on that too. I got some weird commentaries.
Yeah. I also had a thought while we're kicking out crazy thoughts and we're just brainstorming with the family here. I had thought about, the more I look at the cover, and especially the more I hold up the Roll for Hero Handbook on screen and the camera tries to focus on it, the more I realize we got an awful lot of little characters on there. And I got to wondering the other day if it wouldn't be a good idea to roll up like a mascot or two mascots, like a hero and a villain or something, and have two characters that we could use as the mascots for Roll for Hero and be characters that we rolled up together. Are there characters that we've already done that would make a really cool mascot that we might want to go back and use? Do we want to try rolling up new characters and then pick which one would make an awesome mascot? But I think I keep going back to the idea. I think it would be good if we had like a mascot hero or something that could be the star of that cover and be a much easier image to read quickly.
I think it would be interesting if we did a hero and a villain mascot, honestly, done in the same style as our little as the little cutesy renditions of us here, right? Like, again, us on the cover. But you make one, the hero, the typical D6, the classic D6, and then you make the villain character a D20.
Oh, no, I think, okay, Dragon Gaming, I love you. I think you're brilliant. I wonder if a monkey wrench shouldn't be the villain. Like, the one that is throwing the monkey wrench into the plan.
No, the monkey wrench is the anti-hero because it can go either or.
I like a hero that's trying to make a cool book, and the monkey wrench that keeps going and tearing it all up would be pretty funny. That would be pretty funny.
I like the idea of like the hero and the villain being based on dice, since that's the whole premise of the entire thing. Have the hero be the D4 and then the villain be the D20, because I feel like villains are always trying to be more complex, very crazy, or this, that, whatever. And then you got the hero who's trying to be simple, trying to do what's right. And I think that's a very fun concept for mascots, if you will. And I do like the idea of the monkey wrench being like the comedic anti-hero character. I can just see, again, all done in the Roll for Hero chibi style, if you will. That's what I'm going to call it now, even though I'm the, like done exactly this way, but just as that. Because again, easier to draw. And also it's just funny to kind of see like these two cutesy little characters being like, well, I'm the villain and we can be like this, this, and this. And then the hero's like, well, I can be the hero, but we can do this, this, and this. What's it called? Just Follow the Alice Lost in Wonderland launch 2. Good for you, Eddie. Fantastic.
It's going to be
Keep
a
up the
minute
good work.
because I planned on having issue 4 done by now, but I don't because I had to do some client work and just life keeps lifing, man, and
Life is
getting in the
lifing.
way. So, but thank
now
you.
you got
It's
me
going to be
wanting to-
launching hopefully soon.
And now you got me wanting to doodle out the little guys. How dare you?
Well, you get started on that, and I'm going to go stretch and refill my drink and get ready for the next show because on the 5-star feed in 29 minutes, we're going to have Ben Lacey on talking about his new book on Kickstarter right now, Samson 1 through 3. So y'all come hang out with us on the 5-star feed, and we're going to talk making comics and stuff with Ben Lacey. And I'm going to get out of here and stretch my legs for a minute. And you can find me at Mr. Fish Comics on all social media, and GoMrFish.com will take you right to the Roll for Hero Handbook. Where can they find you, Uncle Lee?
You guys can find me at Esteban Crero, basically the Ultra Comics YouTube channel, where this is streaming from right now, at least on my side of things. You guys could find me on Instagram at Ultra Comics or Ultra_Comics, and the L is the number 1 because I had to be extra. Again, I am not active. I'm only primarily active more on either TikTok as well, which is Ultra. I think it's the same name as the Instagram, if I'm incorrect. Again, I haven't done socials in a while. Life is lifing. I'm all over the place. I'm barely functioning too. This was a blast and a half. I really enjoyed today's episode. I loved our guest star. Not only that, also getting to draw Doughboy over here. This was a ton of fun. This is a really awesome fun and good time. Yes. Anyways,
super terrific fun times.
Yeah, exactly. But see you in 29 minutes, says Eddie Von B. Anyways, to everyone out there watching, thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot that you stuck around, getting to see us draw some really interesting characters, and also getting to check out the Roll for Hero Kickstarter. I'm really hoping that it does exceed, and we get to do those fun streams together. Can't wait to see what kind of awesome ideas are going to be chucked at us, seeing how we're going to use them to the best of our abilities. But of course, like all good things, they have to come to an end. So we're going to end things here. So nieces and nephews all out there, make sure to follow these 3 simple rules. Make sure to stay awesome, stay weird, and to keep life to the easiest. And always remember that art inspires all, but you can inspire more. But until then, remember that your uncles love you, and stay safe out there.
Roll for Hero!
You know, and even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks.
I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with.
Imagine rolling just those things every single time. It's always going to vary. You know, the possibility of that happening is, again, like a 1 in 10 chance, but it's like, it shows that there's
Always something else cool right around the